What is up, guys? Dan here, and today we are going to look at the newest addition to the Attitude Iron Arsenal, our top loadable adjusted mace, now in stainless steel. Definitely some improvements over the last one. Again, I make these and sell these, so this is, of course, a biased review, but there are some things I want to go over that are good and bad depending on personal preference, okay? I definitely made changes based on things that I prefer to do in my training. I tend to go heavier rather than reppier. So if you're a really reppy person, there's some things you may not love about this mace, but the good things might outweigh it. We'll leave it up to you to decide. Even though this is my mace and I make money on it, I of course make the thing that I think was missing in the industry, but your preferences may vary. So as biased as this is, I will go over some other points too, because I like repeating myself. Apparently I just said that like 3 times. Check it out. We'll talk a little further on it here. So one of the cool things that you notice is a big upgrade from the previous one is the welding quality. You can see here, we are stacking dimes on there, okay? It is machine welded, stainless steel. Everything is pristine as far as the welds go compared to the other version. That being said, it is gonna cost a touch more than the older version. Next thing, we have the knurling. The knurling is a touch more aggressive than my previous version. It's still very fine. It's more of like a sticky grippy than a tear your hands grippy, which if you are someone who is swinging heavy, you'll really appreciate that. You're not going for a ton of reps. It's heavy, you want a little more grip. It takes chalk really well, which makes the bite a little less too if you want to go a little higher rep. But for those of you that are flow people and you are running, lighter weights, but you're doing maybe sets of like 100 reps, it may not be as passive as you'd prefer. There's other options out there that I think fit that style better. You can go with either like fixed maces from White Line Athletics is a pretty good deal place, or just Amazon. I'll have some links to their stuff below. Or if you're looking adjustable, I think something like the CK has a little less aggressive knurling than what we have here. But even then, I'd prefer, if I'm gonna be like doing a ton of reps, something that's powder coated, like Mighty Mace, which is a great deal, or the Dangerously Fit Mace that's bamboo, or if you're wanting something a little more polished but a little pricier and you're that kind of person, I feel like the ADX Mace does a pretty good job of that as well. The powder coat just being a little more forgiving on your grip for higher rep things. But we have reviews on all those. I'm sure I dropped tags in them all over here, but this is about my mace. So let's talk a little more in depth about what changed compared to the previous one. If you want a more general overview, just watch that video. And the link on that video now goes to this one because these are the ones we're producing now. But let's talk through some of the differences between the Attitude Iron stainless adjustable mace and the previous version that you may have seen on here. As I alluded to earlier, there are a couple differences. The first being the length of the loadable sleeve. The previous one was 10 inches. And what I found is that when I wanted to do things like uppercuts or ballistic curls, I preferred grabbing a hold of the 1.2 diameter here, 1.25, versus if you get a 10 inch, you're having to grab the sleeve to catch. And it just was a little less comfortable. I wanted it to feel more like when you're doing uppercuts and ballistic curls and things like that with a fixed mace where you have like a 4 to 6 inch ball. So I compromised and we took it down to, instead of a 10 inch loadable, we went to a 7.5 inch loadable, which is still plenty of space because you can load 10s and 5s on here and you can get over 100 pounds easily with that. So that extra sleeve space on the old version was just unnecessary and made more kind of flowy movements, throwing uppercuts in after your 360s, putting ballistic curls in. It just made them less comfortable than they could have been if I just shortened the sleeve a touch. So we took a little off of there. The second thing that was really the main complaint, there were two complaints I had. The first one was you should think about powder coating or a zinc coat or something to help with corrosion, right? Because bare steel is gonna rust. A lot of people using maces are doing it in their garage, which is gonna have some humidity. So, you'd have to do some barbell maintenance. You'd have to, get some WD-40, or not WD-40, but some 3-in-1 oil and maybe a barbell brush and kind of clean it up every now and then. You could do the clear coat on top and it would kind of be fixed longer term, but that's like extra work for you, the consumer, to have to do. And like, how can we make this as frictionless of an experience for the people using the equipment? So I fixed that by just being like, you know what? It's gonna push the price point up. It might cut into my margins a little bit, but stainless steel, we're not gonna have a coating that chips. We're not gonna have any of that issue. We're not gonna have rust. It's gonna be the same grip and goodness of bare steel, but it's not gonna rust. We're going stainless, and that's what we did. And it has been great. I use it quite a bit, at least once or twice a week. Never had any rust issues at all. The second thing, and this complaint happened a lot. So the previous mace that we had out had kind of a rounded bottom, which means if you just stood it empty, it would be tipping over, right? So if you put like a 2.5 or a 5 on there and the clips on, it's not gonna fall over. But people just I didn't realize how much people would greatly prefer it to be standing up straight without any weight on it. So we fixed that as well. We flattened the top off here, so it will now stand vertically without any weight and not tip over. The next interesting thing that we did is, so Rogue came out with a mace. I reviewed it when it first came out. I bought it like a day after it was announced just because I wanted to see, because Rogue overbuilds things, does a great job typically. And their first release for their full length mace was a 20-pound mace. So Rogue came out with that 20-pounder, and if you're familiar with mace swinging, 20 pounds is just a little spicy. It was a solid bar. They basically took one of their barbells, chopped it off. It was very well done. It was just heavy. The grip is maybe a little too aggressive, probably similar to honestly how this grip is. So good for heavy, not great for a ton of reps. I like a full knurl, and their knurl was cut short a little bit so they could have their logo and stuff on there, which looks great. It's a cool looking mace. But my big complaint with them was the weight of the mace. They since put out a 12.5 pound version where they basically hollow tubed it, and it's stainless steel. It's a great mace. I haven't swung that 12.5 pound one, but that was the real issue I had with it, and they fixed it. So that's a great mace. You can see that review here as well. So if you're swinging maces, you kind of realize the lighter the shaft, the better that imbalance is and the more swinging mace effect you get, right? So this one empty with the collar, which we have our collars that screw tighten, so you get a really good fit regardless of the size of sleeve here. We were able to get this down to 8 pounds with the collar. I've since loaded it to 80 plus pounds swinging, so you're not gonna have any issue that way. It's going nice and heavy, but it starts with an even lighter start weight, which to me is a huge advantage. If you look at fixed weight maces, they're 2 to 3 pounds, and then the shaft's 2 to 3 pounds, then all the weight's in the end. So my goal is to get as close to that as possible while still keeping the integrity of the instrument here. And so that was a nice addition as well. One of the lightest maces here on the market, swings like a goddamn dream. The final complaint I was getting relatively consistently was the sleeve was a little thick. So it would fit most plates, but if you had tighter tolerance plates like bumper plates or like change plates that are calibrated, or the weighted out plates, or even strength coat plates, they fit a little too snug, so they wouldn't fit that. So now it's thin enough that it works with all Olympic plates out there. I've yet to find a brand that doesn't. And we also are partnering with Weighted Out. You can actually check the mace out on their site as well. All right, the last thing that I'm sure you guys need to know is price point. So the raw steel one was a little cheaper than this. We went stainless steel, so that means we had to push the price a little bit. Right now they're at $174.99 is what they're on sale for right now. The non-sale price is essentially $290. Still free shipping, stainless steel goodness. Definitely worth the money compared to competitors out there. We're kind of right in line, or a little cheaper. Rogue's a little cheaper, but honestly, ours is a little better. But feel free to peruse the channel. I have reviewed almost every decent mace option that's out there. If there's any I've missed, comment below. I'll see if I can get a hold of them and get those reviewed for you as well. We'll talk to you guys soon.